Garfield had the right idea. Lasagna is one of the best meals you can possibly indulge in, and it gets better when you pair it with a salad made with your very own Caesar dressing and the cheesiest garlic bread ever. I would genuinely appreciate your support for this channel, so please make sure you hit on that subscribe button for me, as I'll be sharing weekly recipes that will help make your cooking experience so much better. But back to the recipe. So we're going to start with our list of ingredients. The full list will be included in the description. Now, whenever I make lasagna, I start with at least 2 types of meat. For this lasagna, I'm using ground turkey and hot Italian sausage. Use whatever meat or combination suits you best. I know some people like ground beef, some people like ground pork, or even a combination of the two. But this is my personal recommended preference. If you use the Italian sausage, I suggest you use the spicy ones just to give this dish a little bit of a kick. Next, we're going to introduce the seasonings used to flavor this meat concoction up. For this, I'm using kosher salt, black pepper, onion powder, garlic powder, Mrs. Italian blend, cayenne pepper, Italian seasoning, and dried basil. Now for the sauce itself, I use kosher salt and black pepper. Minced garlic paste is going to give it some additional flavor. Italian seasoning, olive oil, 2 cans of tomato paste, the 8-ounce cans, 28 ounces of crushed canned tomatoes, because real tomatoes aren't always going to be in season, so this will be your best bet. Also, you're going to throw in some diced green onion, fresh parsley, baking soda, which will help balance out that acidity in your sauce, shaved carrots, which helps balance the acidity, as well as provide some beautiful color to your sauce, and diced white onion. A good lasagna has good cheese, and I'm using extra sharp cheddar cheese and whole milk mozzarella. Skim milk mozzarella works too. Use the ingredients you see listed here for the ricotta. Now these are the list of ingredients that I have for my salad. I use an arugula blend with green leaf lettuce, tomatoes, and I'll be making my croutons from scratch as well. I'll show you how in the video. I'll also show you how to make a from scratch Caesar salad dressing, but first, let's have a drink. I made some coquito, which if you would like the recipe, the link will be in the description below. But yeah, let's get to cooking. Browning our meat is really easy, and it's the first step in building that sauce. To start, once your pan is nice and hot, coat it with about 2 tablespoons of olive oil. Ground turkey is naturally dry, so most of that oil will be absorbed as it begins to cook. I used the entire pack of ground turkey and added it to the pan. Using a wooden spoon or spatula, break that meat down into smaller pieces, similar to if you were to cook ground beef. You want to cook this until it's brown. I would say about 90% of the way, because it's going to finish cooking when you combine it with the Italian sausage. Now remove the turkey from the pan and add a touch more oil, a little less than a tablespoon. Add about 6 or 7 Italian sausages to the pan, and similar to the ground turkey, you want to break the sausages down into smaller pieces. Remember, this is a lasagna, and we need enough of that meat to spread across the dish. I removed the sausages from the casing, and since it's a bit on the tough side, I used 2 spatulas to break them down, and once the sausages cooked through, I added the ground turkey mixture to the pan. From there, go on and season your mix accordingly. Use that kosher salt, black pepper, garlic powder, onion powder, Mrs. Italian blend, cayenne pepper, Italian seasoning, and dried basil. Remember to add it to the meat after it's cooked to avoid burning during the cooking process. The sauce is really easy too, and it tastes way better than store-bought. Now to a large pot on medium heat, I use the Dutch oven. Add 2 tablespoons of high-quality olive oil. Now once that pan is nice and hot, add your diced white onions, then go in with your diced green pepper and shaved carrots. Give this a generous mix, and we're going to sweat those vegetables out. Create space in the center of the pot and add a tablespoon of garlic paste. Mix that in with the cooked vegetables, and this is going to provide a nice base for your sauce. And once it gets mixed in, you'll begin to smell all of those flavors and aromas taking over your kitchen. And you'll probably have people coming in and asking, hey, what's for dinner? But be patient, it's coming along nicely. That's the kind of vibe I want to have with this channel. Moving on, add in your crushed canned tomatoes, and at this point, you can turn the heat down to medium-low so we can simmer. Now add in about half a cup of water and half a cup of chicken stock to thin it out a bit. Don't worry if it comes out looking a bit soupy, because the tomato paste we add later will thicken it up. Add the cans of tomato paste to the sauce and mix it until well combined. Now you should see it begin to thicken up as it starts to get incorporated. Next, we want to add some fresh basil and freshly diced oregano for some earthiness. Mix that in and add a tablespoon of granulated sugar. This will help add a little sweetness to the sauce, but not make it overly sweet. Lastly, add a teaspoon of your baking soda to balance out the acidity. Give it a taste, you've earned it, and adjust for salt if necessary. Add the meat mixture and combine. Now once this step is complete, you'll have your meat sauce ready to go. Just place that to the side, and now I'm going to show you how to cook your noodles. Now ready-made lasagna noodles are cool, but for those of you like me who boil your noodles and you're kind of sick of them sticking together, or if you have to cook them in big batches, let me show you a cool chef's trick. Take a large heat-proof pan and add your lasagna noodles in one at a time. I got this pan from Amazon, and it's what I used in my Detroit-style pizza recipe. I'll share a link to that recipe in the description as well. This pan can contain a lot of heat, but getting back to the point, once all of your lasagna noodles have been added to the pan, carefully, and I reiterate, carefully add salted boiling water to the pan. Let this sit for about a half an hour and let the hot water bath cook your noodles with no issues. Now while we wait on that boiling water to do its thing, let's work on our ricotta mixture. Add the ricotta to the bowl and then crack in 1 whole egg. Add your cheese blend. This is a blend of Parmesan and Asiago cheese. Season with salt and pepper and begin to mix until it's well combined. It should look a little bit frothy, almost like a Wendy's Frosty. As you can see, the noodles are fully cooked and you'll be able to have them retain their shape without any problems. Now that we've got all the parts of our lasagna ready, let's assemble this bad boy. First, you want to preheat your oven to 350 degrees. The lasagna essentially has to cook twice, once covered in foil for 30 minutes and then uncovered for an additional 15 to 20 minutes to allow that cheese to continue melting and develop a bit of browning at the top. But as far as the layering process goes, grab a large casserole dish and start with adding a few ladlefuls of your meat sauce to the bottom of the pan. I make sure that I add enough to evenly cover the bottom, including the corners as well. Next, add your lasagna noodles. I always go with 4 horizontally, and I break one of the noodles in half, splitting it across vertically to cover the corners. Take your ricotta mixture and spread it across the noodles. I use a plastic spatula to evenly spread it across and to prevent the noodles from breaking in this process. Finally, take your shredded cheddar and mozzarella cheeses and evenly spread it across the ricotta. I do this to allow for an even bite, so when you cut into it, you'll taste the ricotta, the meat, the noodle, and the cheeses. Now you want to do this 2 more times and continue to build on that flavor. My pan is large enough to do about 3 layers worth of lasagna, and as I place each layer on, I'll use my gloves to pat it down so it can cook evenly and it evens the dish as well. I'm going to go ahead and place this in the oven, and now our lasagna is done. Now while that cools about 15 or 20 minutes, I'm going to work on my Caesar dressing, croutons, and that cheesy garlic bread. Now to a large bowl, add a tablespoon of garlic paste, or if you want to use fresh garlic, use 2 cloves. I don't have fresh anchovies on hand, but I have anchovy paste, and I'm using a tablespoon of that as well. Now add a cup of good mayo. I'm using Kewpie, 2 egg yolks, throw in a pinch of salt and some Dijon mustard. Add some freshly squeezed lemon juice and whisk. But as you're beginning to whisk, gently add a neutral oil to emulsify. This is vegetable oil. As you start to see it thicken up, add some Worcestershire sauce and keep whisking until you get your very own Caesar dressing. Place that in the fridge until it's ready to be used. I've got a freshly baked baguette from my local supermarket, and I'm going to use the first half of the bread for croutons and the latter for garlic bread. For the croutons, just dice the bread into small cubes like so and place them into a bowl. Add olive oil, season with salt, pepper, and white cheddar powder, garlic powder, and mix. Place it on the baking sheet and bake at 350 degrees for about 10 minutes or until those croutons are nice golden brown and crispy. Now for the garlic bread, I have a stick of softened unsalted butter that I added to a bowl. If you want to add some real flavor to this, take some truffle cheddar from Cracker Barrel and add about a half a cup. As an added bonus, add about another half a cup of Gruyere cheese for some much needed richness. I microplane the cheese to allow for smaller bits, making it more refined. Season with garlic powder and add some olive oil and mix until well combined. Now once it's mixed, spread across the bread, optionally but not optionally adding more cheese. Toast it for 350 degrees for about 10 minutes or, as always, until golden brown and crispy. We've got the lasagna cooled down a bit so it's not burning the roof of your mouth and the ingredients have settled. Our salad is nice and tossed with those fresh croutons. We're going to put that dressing on, and we've got the perfect cheesy bread. So with that being said, let's dive right in. That first bite puts me all in the feels. You get the sweetness from that sauce, that savory flavor from the meat, those noodles. Mwah, cooked to perfection, and the ricotta is super creamy. The salad, delicious. But with that homemade dressing, it's tangy, creamy, and the anchovy paste really helps with that umami flavor. That garlic bread, whew, it's decadent, cheesy, it's dangerously addicting. You may find yourself eating about 3 or 4 of these, and that's perfectly fine, no judgment here. But yes, this is the perfect recipe for those holiday dinners, Sunday dinners, you name it. I'm glad I was able to share this recipe with you. If you want to see more recipes like these, give this video a like, click on that subscribe button, and share it with your family and friends. Make sure you follow me for more recipes like these, and as always, until the next time we feast, peace.